Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. Today I'll be working on my Ficus religiosa. It's starting to lose all its leaves. A couple of days ago I noticed that some of the leaves were starting to fall off, and when I moved the tree over here, a whole bunch more fell off. I'll just shake the tree and see if any more come off. No, they seem to be fairly firm, the ones that are still on there. Usually when a tree loses its leaves like this, it means it's due for another growth period. My Ficus religiosa was kept outside in the greenhouse till, well, pretty well winter. And it was fairly cool in the greenhouse, so that was kind of like its fall. And then usually when I bring trees in from outside into the plant room here, it's warm and today it's sunny, that they react like spring is here. And so this one is probably due for a big growth period. So it's dropping all the old leaves and then it'll explode in new growth very shortly. You can see on the trunk here there's a new branch coming out of old wood. There's a bud there that'll probably emerge shortly. I've been doing fairly regular maintenance work on this tree, but I have noticed that the one trunk line here has been thickening up more than all the other branches. And I think I'm going to have to address that soon because it's getting to be almost like an extension of the main trunk here, rather than kind of equal branches growing up from the main trunk. So let's have a look at it. Here's a look at that junction. You can see this branch is getting very thick. It's probably close to twice the thickness of any of the others in that area. I could make that an extension of the trunk, you know, developing this even thicker and have these as sort of more support branches, but my original idea was to create kind of a broom style out of this, and I don't know if I want, you know, if I look from this view, the main trunk line comes up and quite forward and then vertical. So I don't think I want it as an extension of the main trunk. So today I'll be trying to take vigor out of this branch, trying to equalize, you know, the growth rates of all these branches so they kind of grow a little more equally. To keep this branch from becoming even more vigorous, you have to reduce the number of leaves on the branch. So if a branch has a lot of leaves, it'll grow quickly. If a branch just has a few leaves, it'll grow more slowly. So this branch is starting to get a lot of smaller branches coming off the main branch, and it's getting a lot of, you know, a lot of leaves. Oh, they're just falling off every time I touch them. It's getting a lot of branching and leaves up here, which gives a lot of energy to this branch, and it just keeps increasing in thickness. So I'm going to have to reduce the number of branches coming off of this thickened branch here. You can also see that there's a branch coming off of this branch. That is the tallest point on the tree. There's one back here that's close. But yeah, so this can be reduced quite a bit. And I'll have to find a good point to prune that off and reduce the vigor in that branch. I've already pruned a branch out front here, pruned it off here in the summer, and I don't see much bud activity on it yet. Probably because all the vigor is going up this trunk line into this part of the tree. I can see a bud up here. There's a strong buds at the tips of each branch. Even some of these smaller branches back here have buds at the tips. So I'm going to have to knock that branch back. I've kind of rotated the branch to a side view, and you can see it comes up from the main trunk. There's a division here, so that is a possibility to knock the branch off there. And you'd have this one branch coming out the front, and it would probably develop new buds and create further branching. Whenever you prune something large off a branch, it usually reacts by creating new buds further down, especially on a ficus tree. If I wanted to keep this division, I want everything flowing, so I could prune off these branches. And I've already pruned this one earlier. I could reduce everything down maybe. But I don't know, I don't like the fact the trunk is fairly straight and this branch comes out and then this part is very vertical. So Everything tells me I should take it off right at this point. I can see on this branch there's already a heavy pruning scar, so I think in the past I did take a vertical leader off there, and it probably grew this as a new branch. So I think, yeah, today I'll probably take that off. I'll have a look at it and make my final decision. I've been studying the tree, and I mentioned that, you know, this branch is becoming an extension of the main trunk. It does come forward, which isn't too bad. So if I were to rotate the front of the tree from where it is presently now, more to this kind of a view, it looks quite nice with that trunk extension. And these are kind of support branches because it does have a lot of branching up here. So you've kind of got a tier of branches here, another tier here, and eventually more up here. So you know, if that's the way the tree wants to grow, who am I to say it's not right? So I'm thinking maybe that is the best solution, is to rotate my front, have this as an extension of the trunk, and that way I can keep all this branching without reducing it back and then trying to let these grow to equalize them with this, and then I'm left with kind of a typical broom style tree, which is nice, but maybe the tree's more interesting with a stronger trunk line. It's a tough decision because if I let this grow, it's going to thicken up even more. If I do cut it back, I'll start, you know, going back to my original styling intent, which is to create that broom style tree with all these kind of upright trunks and then further divisions. Tough decision. Very tough. I think it looks quite natural, you know, in this type of a view. It looks like a big old mature tree. I think we'll go with keeping this as an extension of the trunk and develop our branching off of that. I think that'll look quite good. So it means when I repot it, I'll have to rotate the tree around, so the front will be more like somewhere here. I've got a lot of strong shoots on this tree. You can see this one at the back here. It comes swinging down and it's very long, needs pruning. There's several other branches that need pruning to get the tree more compact and develop more sub-branching. So I'll be reducing a lot of these branches down today, shortening them as much as possible, you know, using directional pruning and just kind of restoring the balance of the tree. All right, I'll start the pruning. I'm looking at this long leader coming up the top here. I'm looking for a place to prune it. I've got a leaf scar here, so a new branch would come out this direction. I got one at the back, so I think I'll prune it right here. So here I go. Just like that. There's another branch coming up here. Again, I'm looking for either leaves or scars where leaves were. And I'm going to take it right back to here. I have a leader here that I pruned, I think, over the summer, and it has a new bud coming out here. And I'm thinking I probably don't want it that long. I hate pruning off a developed bud because, you know, energy went into making that bud, and now I'm pruning it off and it's kind of lost energy. However, there's a leaf scar down lower. I could prune down to here, so I think I will. This tree does have a lot of vigor in it. There's a branch here that kind of comes in towards the main trunk line. I'm going to remove that. It doesn't look very nice and it doesn't flow. It's an awkward looking branch. I've already reduced the one out front here. I think I've got to take it back further. I left it a little longer. Now that that branch is defoliated, I can maybe make a better decision on where to prune it. I'm thinking I'm just going to take it back a little further to here. Clean up that cut from last time. Okay. So that's got the main kind of trunk line pruned up. I could, actually, I don't like this branch being that long. Oh, there's more leaves falling off. Oh, they're just falling off every time I touch them. I don't like this branch being so long here, and there is a bud forming over here, so I'm going to reduce it back to here, like that. That'll be much better, especially if this is the trunk line. It might get this branch going, fanning out a little more from the front view, so it's not much of an eye poker branch. Let's look at this branch coming up here now. I've got, this one could be pruned back, so prune it back to here. This one has a bud at the tip, but I think we want it shorter, so I'll take it back to here. And this one to here. And this one coming up the top, back to there. I think that looks good. And we'll come to this branch out the back here now. Got a wild branch shooting up vertically here. Don't like that too much. I think I'll prune it off here. I can always take it off later if I don't like that vertical part, but I might get a branch coming out in this direction. I do need some branching in this direction, so I'm going to keep it for now. I've got a bud here. I don't think I want it that long, so I'm going to take it back to here, like that. That brings me to this big cascading kind of branch here, which really grew well. That's definitely got to be shortened, so I'm going to take that back to, I think here, like that. That takes quite a bit off. There's another leaf that's fallen off. Oh. They're all falling off. And there's one coming up in here. Well, got this little one from the base here. I think that's looking pretty good. I'll just shorten it. This one, I'll shorten to here. This one to here. And this one to here. That gets that branch all pruned up nicely. Now the leaves, oh, they're just falling off today. Every time I touch a leaf, it falls off. Okay, and then a little more pruning here. Take that one off to there. So, yeah, just this one branch remains now. It has sort of a funny structure here. It has a big long leader and a branch each side. So I think time to do a little hard pruning on this. Do I keep any of these branches? They're kind of 90 degrees to the trunk. They don't flow nicely. And it's getting a little long without much taper. So I think I will. I'm going to take it back to here. Like that. Something new will develop on there. And then I'll just take the tip off here. That leaves me with one leaf on the tree. Actually, two. There's another one here. I'm just going to clean up some of the previous pruning cuts, just making them flush. Some dried up areas. Always looks nice when you clean up your cuts a year later. It really makes the branches flow a little nicer. There's a bud here. I'm just trying to decide. I guess it's in an okay location. No, it's not. It's kind of on the inside of a curve and it's opposite this branch. So I'm going to take that bud off. Well, that's what I'm left with. So here's kind of the new front view. think it looks pretty good. I'm liking it. It's looking more mature. The whole tree structure is getting mature. Getting a lot of nice taper. Oh, I should reduce this back a bit here. There. Yeah, it's looking like a mature crown in the tree. Yeah, it's getting nice bark and branch thickness and coming along nicely. I'll clean up all these leaves now and then we'll deal with the moss at the base of the tree. While I was cleaning up the leaves underneath the pot here, the last 2 leaves on the tree fell off, so it was definitely due for its natural defoliation. So I think coming up it's going to go through a period of growth now. I'll develop, keep developing more sub-branching, getting the canopy wider. We've got our new leader up the tree, up the center of the tree. And, it looks quite nice, I think. I'm glad I kept it, actually, because it flows in quite nicely with the tree. And it also, if I develop all these uniformly, this upright branch structure, maybe the tree would be too boring. I don't know. Probably not, but this gives it a visual continuation. Your eye goes up the tree. Sometimes when you get those broom-style canopies, your eye doesn't, it goes up the trunk, and then it doesn't quite know where to go, which branch to kind of follow up the tree. So this sort of defines it more. So next I'm going to prune away the moss at the base of the tree so it's not climbing up the root structure. Here's a view of the moss now, and you can see it kind of very close to the base of the tree, so I don't want it climbing up the tree because these Ficus religiosa Bonsai, they get a nice bark on them. And if you have moss growing up the base of the tree, it'll obscure that bark, and it'll also make the base of your tree a different color than the lighter colored bark up here. So you want sun and air to get at all your surface roots. So that's why I'm picking away the moss near the base of the tree here. You can just kind of peel away a ring at the base of the tree, and the moss will slowly creep in towards the tree, and then you prune it back again. So it's just starting to reach the tree now, so it's a good time to prune the moss. This little scar here, I call that the belly button. That was a root that I pruned off long ago when I first initially got the tree. This tree was just sold as a nursery tree for a house plant. There was quite a few in the pot. There was this one, which is the largest tree in the pot, and then there's a whole bunch of little ones surrounding it. So I separated them all and planted them all individually. And over the years, I've given quite a few away. So I still have quite a few Ficus religiosas, but this is the biggest one. This is the mother tree, I guess. So I think that is enough clearance around the tree for the moss. I'll just get out my scissors and kind of blend it in a little better, so you don't see the edge where I kind of remove the moss. There's not a sharp edge there. It's really nice seeing the sun out. We can go for weeks in December without any sunshine. It just stays cloudy. Luckily, the winter solstice will be coming soon on the 21st, and the days will start getting longer. And in January, you really start to notice it, that the days start getting longer, and you get more sunshine, and everything in the plant room really starts growing well. That is looking quite good. See, there's getting to be a lot of nice surface roots. Getting good buttressing of the trunk. All right, I'll get out my toothbrush and do the final cleanup. All right, I come in with the brush now. Okay, I think that's looking quite good. So the front view will be somewhere about there. So you can see I got nice roots coming each side. Good thick wide base at the tree. Here's a look at my Ficus religiosa, all cleaned up and ready to grow. I'll rotate it around so you can see it from all angles. So here will be kind of the new front. And we'll rotate it around. And back to the front. All right, here I go with the water and fertilizer. Just has a little bit of 20-20-20 mixed in with it. Very small amount. You don't want to overdo the fertilizer. Otherwise you get really thick, coarse kind of growth on the trees. So you give them just enough fertilizer to keep them healthy and no more. Unless you're trying to grow your tree really rapidly, which I don't think is a good idea with bonsai. All my best trees were grown slowly. The rapid growth trees, I don't know, they get out of control quickly. They start to lose their miniature look. There's nothing like slow growing to get nice miniature bark, miniature branches, miniature root structure. Okay, that's a good thorough watering. Starting to run out the bottom. Sometimes I look at this tree and I think, you know, it's fairly small, it doesn't have a big canopy, and I think, what progress have I made over the last 10 years? It looks the same. But then I go back and I look at pictures of it 10 years ago and I think, whoa, it's really come a long way. And that's a nice thing to do in bonsai, is to take photos of your trees or videos and then go and look at them in the future. Go back and look at them and you'll just see what kind of progress they made. And sometimes it's, you know, just a branch thickens up or it gets a little more bark and it just makes your tree look like a giant tree you'd see in nature. It gives them that miniature look, and that's a hard thing to achieve in bonsai, and that's, you know, my primary goal of bonsai is to create a miniaturized version of a tree you'd see in nature. So, and when I see it today, I'm really happy with the progress of this tree. I think it's looking like a tree. Now, it still does get the giant leaves on it, but as I get more branching, finer and finer branching, the leaf size will reduce. Not dramatically. I mean, if I get leaves kind of this big, I'll be quite happy, but they will reduce over time. And I think eventually, someday far in the future, it'll be a really nice bonsai. I'm happy with it right now. I really enjoy working on these Ficus religiosa trees. That is all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.